the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Saint Cyril went to Ephesus to attend the councils. The councils, as I said, the letter sent to be in Pentecost, and many of the hierarchy started to arrive to Ephesus before the day. The first one arrived was Nestorius. He arrived with 16 bishops, and also the representative of the emperor, Count Candidin. He came with him with armed guard to keep order. And also Count Irenaeus, he came in a private capacity to support his friend Nestorius. Saint Cyril, he arrived a few days before the Pentecost with 50 bishops. And Saint Shenouda, the Archimandrite, accompanied Saint Cyril in this council. And he was highly welcomed by Bishop Memnon. Bishop of Ephesus was originally from Egypt, so he welcomed Bishop Saint Cyril. Bishop Memnon of Ephesus, he gathered 52 bishops from his province. Juvenal of Jerusalem arrived on June 12 with 16 bishops. Flavian of Philippi arrived with a delegation from Macedonia. Bishop Celestine's delegations, he sent 2 Italian bishops and 1 priest who came in July 10th. And the Bishop of Carthage, he could not come, and he represented by a deacon Basil, who came and informed the council about the departure of St. Augustine. St. Augustine, he passed away in the 430. And at that time, the barbarian attacked the churches in North Africa, so the only one who came was this deacon Basil. John of Antioch, he arrived late. He came with 26 bishops on June 26. So from this list, you find that is the date of June 7, the few who already arrived. So due to the delay of the arrival of many bishops, it was impossible to start the council on time. So 7th of June, it was only Nestorius and Saint Cyril there, and of course Bishop Memnon. So he waited, Saint Cyril, he waited for 16 days. And it was summertime, it's hot in Ephesus. There was no air condition, of course. And many of the bishops who came was old people. Some of them passed away while they are waiting, died. Others, they got sick. And also, the bishops came, and everyone accompanied by many people. So the city was overcrowded. The resources are limited. So it was a critical situation to wait more. So he decided to go ahead and start the council. Especially, he found that is the Nestorian party group already represented well. Nestorius himself was there with his bishops from his province, Constantinople. And also the main theologian defending Nestorius, Theodoret of Cyrus, he already arrived, so it was there. And also he found that there are 2 bishops from Antioch who are from a place far away from Antioch itself. So they already arrived. So he expected that is John of Antioch. He intentionally delayed his arrival to avoid to participate on the condemnation of his friend Nestorius. So he didn't wait, and he proceeded by calling the council to meet, and he sent the invitation because he was assigned by the emperor to preside over the council as Alexandria, the position of Alexandria. So he called to have the meeting on June 21, the Sunday. And he sent a delegation to Nestorius as a defendant to come to the council. But he refused to come, and the Count Candidin, he protested that is St. Cyril to proceed to start the council and not waiting until John of Antioch to arrive. And also Theodoret of Cyrus with 68 bishops, they protested also the start of the council at that time. But St. Cyril decided to proceed and to have the meeting. And the first session of the council was held on Monday, June 22nd at St. Mary Cathedral in Ephesus, and St. Cyril presided at the meeting, and Peter the Alexandrian priest was appointed as a chief legal notary to take notes. And he sent another delegate of 3 bishops and a lawyer to call Nestorius for the second time. You know that is any defendant to be called 3 times. If he refused to come for the 3rd time, he loses his right and they can proceed with the trial. So he sent him the first on Sunday, 21st, then the second on Monday, the 22nd. I will mention these details because it gives us idea about how the council was run and what is about some details which are interesting to know, and it helps us to understand what is the right way to have a theological dialogue. Because the procedure as a methodology which St. Cyril put in this council give us a good model how we proceed in the theological dialogue and how we are failing in our theological dialogue and not having a good achievement as we expected to have. I will tell you about this.
Kyrie
155 bishops gathered at the beginning of the session. Then the 68 bishops led by Theodoret of Cyrus, they enter the cathedral to protest. So we have 155 gathering and 68 coming to protest the start of the council, with the Count Candidin coming with them. So the Count challenged St. Cyril to start the council. So St. Cyril, in his cleverness, asked the Count to what is the instruction of the emperor to him, and asked him to read the letter which was given to him by the emperor. So he read the letter, and in the letter it was very clear that is the emperor Theodosius instructed the Count not to interfere in the theological debate, just to keep order and to be neutral. So they asked him not to interfere. Not to interfere. But the reading of the letter has a very legal importance, because St. Cyril cannot start a council without officially the letter of the emperor to be read, because the council is called by the emperor. And if the representative of the emperor does not read the letter, then this is to question the legality of the council. So reading the letter considered as now we are legally and to start it. So Count Candidin, they asked him to leave because she should not to interfere. So he left, and the 68 bishops, some of them left with the Count, and 42 remained. So now we have the total of 197, 155, and those who remained, the 42. Then the council sent another, or third and the final delegation to Nestorius to call him to come, but he refused. So they proceeded by the. Then let us see how they dealt with the issue. Firstly, there was a request to read the Creed of Nicaea. And the Creed of Nicaea was read. Why they read the Creed of Nicaea? Because firstly they said, what is the standard to examine the teaching to be right or wrong? If we don't have a standard to agree on, then how we say this is right or this is wrong? So they started by reading the creed. Then they read the second letter of Saint Cyril to Nestorius. And Saint Cyril asked the fathers a question, whether this letter in accordance with the creed or not. First they set a standard, and then when his letter was read, how they decide whether it is wrong or right. So they asked them whether this letter is in accordance with the creed or not. And then 124 bishops gave their personal acclamation of St. Cyril's letter as an Orthodox exposition. يعني في 124 stood and spoke how this letter is in accordance, and 31 also agreed, and they didn't speak, but they agreed. Then after that, they read the reply of Nestorius to Saint Cyril, and they asked the same question to the bishops, whether this reply is in accordance to the creed or not. And the answer was, after the fathers, they agreed on this conclusion after they heard the reply of Nestorius. Whoever does not anathemize Nestorius, let him be anathema. Such a one the right faith anathemize. Such an one the Holy Synod anathemize. Whoever communicate with Nestorius, let him be anathema. We anathemize all the apostle of Nestorius. We all anathemize Nestorius as a heretic. Let all such as communicate with Nestorius be anathema. So this was the response of the father. But this was not the official decree. Then after that, they read the synodical condemnation of Nestorius by Rome. Because some people say maybe because the father, out of enthusiasm or emotion, they said that. No, but this was not enough. So they read the condemnation of the Synod of Rome. And also the condemnation of the Synod of Alexandria. So the third letter of St. Cyril to Nestorius was read with the 12 anathema. After that, they investigated what was the response to Nestorius. Maybe when he heard about this condemnation, he repented. So they asked the delegation who went carrying the third letter to Nestorius, and the bishop said no, he insisted on his teaching. Then maybe he repented when he came to Constantinople, to Ephesus. because they sent to him the condemnation of Alexandria in December 430, and he now in Ephesus. So some bishops, they witness, that is, they met with Nestorius, and he continued in his teaching even when he was in Ephesus. So the father of the council confirmed that Nestorius still persisted in his heresy even while he was in Ephesus. And after hearing these evidences, then the council read a patristic synopsis of the doctrine on the nature of incarnation. So they want to support their decision by also writing from the Father. So the text which Saint Cyril gathered, this patristic writing, were read in the council. And after all of this, and even so, after this, they also, a number of passages of writing of Nestorius were read. They started by, I want to emphasize this to show how our father was very careful, because sometimes they read some books about the Council of Ephesus, accuse Saint Cyril, that is, he used his power and he used money and gifts to condemn the Nestorius. But this shows how he was very fair. Started by reading the creed, then his letter was read, the bishop was asked, 124 stood and support, 31 agreed. Then the response to this letter of Nestorius was read, and the father responded to it. After that, the condemnation of the Synod of Rome, the condemnation of the Synod of Alexandria was read. After that, they investigated what was the response of Nestorius for these two condemnations, what was his teaching now, and they confirmed he persisted in his teaching. Furthermore, they read patristic writing of the fathers, St. Athanasius and St. Gregory, the theologian, and also they read other writing of Nestorius to be sure that is, when they condemn him after thorough examination, listening to his teaching. Is not just a word he said it here. Sometimes we pick words or sentence and say, oh, this is wrong. No, this is, he is not one writing, is not one sermon, it is a teaching. He continuously teaching it and persists on it. So the father came to this conclusion after reading all of this, then the decree. I will read to the text the decree of the council. As in addition to other things, the impious Nestorius has not obeyed our citation and did not receive the holy bishop who were sent by us to him. And first is he stated that is he did not come, because some will question why he was not called to defend himself. So they said that is, we sent to him, and as in addition to other things, the impious Nestorius has not obeyed our citation and did not receive the holy bishop who were sent by us to him. We were compelled to examine his ungodly doctrines. We discovered that he had held and published impious doctrines in his letters and treatises, as well as in discourses which he delivered in this city. and which have been testified to, compelled thereto by the canon and by the letter of our most holy Father and fellow servant Celestine, the Roman bishop, we have come with many tears to this sorrowful sentence against him, namely that our Lord Jesus Christ, whom he has blasphemed, decrees by the Holy Synod that Nestorius be excluded from the episcopal dignity and from all priestly communion. They mention Bishop Celestine because his delegation were absent, and they read this the decree of the synod. So 197 bishops signed the decree in the evening of Monday, June 23, 431, at the end of the first session. So the condemnation of Nestorius is done in the first session. And the number of bishops were more than 200 if we add the proxy, because some of the bishops who came, they are proxy for bishop who did not come. The people of Ephesus were waiting outside, and they received the decree with great joy. And St. Cyril, when he sent the letter to people of Alexandria, saying that when they heard that the wretched men were deposed, they all began with one voice to cry out in praise of the Holy Council, glorifying God because the enemy of the faith had fallen. Unfortunately, it was not the end but the beginning of the trouble for St. Cyril, because after the first session on Tuesday the 23rd, sorry, I said Monday was the 22nd, you can correct it. So the notice of deposition was sent to Nestorius, because they have to inform him. And also he sent a letter to Alexandria and Constantinople informing the clergy there of the deposition of Nestorius. And Nestorius also responded. According to the law of that time, any decree of the synod cannot be effective until the emperor ratifies this. So otherwise, it will not be effective. You have the emperor to ratify the decree. So St. Cyril, he sent a report to the Emperor Theodosius telling him what happened. In Nestorius, from his side, also he sent a formal appeal to the emperor complaining and protesting about what happened in the council, and asked the emperor to dissolve the council and call another council to be held near or in Constantinople, which would only have one or two expert theologians from each province who could debate the issue of faith calmly and without prejudice. This is what the Nestorius sent to the emperor. Count Candidin, the representative, he prevented any legal action to be taken, and towards the official approval of the council, and also he did not allow any bishop to leave Ephesus, and he sent a formal report to the emperor informing him that he dismissed the council on the ground it was a partisan meetings. So the emperor, he received 3 reports, one from St. Cyril, one from Nestorius, and one from the Count Candidin, and he was confused. He didn't know what's happened because they contradict each other. So we are in June 23. In 26, John of Antioch arrived, accompanied by 26 of his bishops. He was very angry when he heard of what happened, and he decided to form a council. So he called the bishops. So Nestorius went with his bishops, and John of Antioch with 43 bishops, they gathered, and they consider this is the Council of Ephesus. So that's why it's called the Little Council. And they proceed to try St. Cyril because of what he did, and also they consider this his 12 anathema as a heresy of Apollinarius, and Theodoret of Cyrus spoke about this. And they ended by a decision to depose both of St. Cyril and Bishop Memnon of Ephesus. And when they proceeded to appoint a new bishop of Ephesus, those people of Ephesus rejected and prevented them to do so. And they sent by Count Candidin to the emperor about the decision. So now we have two councils. The majority council, which deposed Nestorius, and the little council headed by John of Antioch with 43 bishops who deposed St. Cyril and Memnon. What is the reaction of Emperor Theodosius? He decided to send examining magistrate Palladius to Ephesus with the commission to find out exactly what was going on and to assist Candidin to keeping order.